welcome to the LKB Podcast. Today is a family special one, and that's because I have my brother here from Construction Sport. We often work together on things.
We do.
And today we've come together to bring on our dad, who's coming to the podcast. Dad, you've got a camera here as well if you fancy looking into them and giving it away, because you're going to be on YouTube.
Yeah.
And,
Hi, Mum.
So we thought it'd be great. Just a little bit of background. We were speaking around the dinner table at Christmas. You weren't with us actually, Stephen, but Dad was talking about a few passengers it's picked up, which he's always done over the years as a London taxi driver. And we were laughing about his stories. And I thought, you know what, let's bring it to the podcast because it was so funny. And there's a lot of people that you're probably going to have heard of. There's probably a lot that you might not have as well. There's some on this list that I've never heard of. But so we're going to go through a few people that he's picked up and get some stories from him. But before we do, as kids growing up with our dad being a London taxi driver, it was cool, right?
Yeah. I second that.
Everyone thought it was cool to have a dad with a taxi. We didn't think it was that cool because we grew up in the back of it. Was in and out of it all the time. I used to clean it for my dad. Used to find bits of money. It was great.
I was stuffed in the front where there's no chairs because I was the youngest
And
smallest at the time.
How about under the seat?
Under the seat, been there. Yeah.
Was that when we was trying to get in somewhere and you're
The
claiming
Centre
2
Parks.
kids instead of 3?
It would be a freebie at Centre Parks, wouldn't it? We've only booked for 4. And there's 5 of us, so I'd get stuffed under a seat
You were small enough then.
Did.
and then sent out to steal bikes.
Yeah. So
Yeah, oh dear me.
It's another
Yeah.
podcast. Don't talk about that
lots
one.
of stories. And also, we had a dad that worked in the taxis, worked nights mainly as we were growing up. So
Yeah.
sleeping days, and we used to be playing out the front, and everyone had to take into account that Bernie was having his day sleep. Can't
Yeah.
be too loud playing out the front and all that kind of stuff. So Dad, tell us, how did you end up becoming a London taxi driver?
Oh, blimey, it weren't something that I planned for. I was working in the Billingsgate Fish Market and going to work from South Woodham to London every morning. And one particular day, my boss told me, he said, "Bern, I may have to let you go. And I've just taken on a house. I've got a son, and I've got a wife that's pregnant with another one."
Me?
So, long and short, I knew I had to get another job. And what do I know? A friend of mine suggested earlier about getting doing the knowledge, and I'll give that a miss straight away. But now my back's against the wall, and I needed another string to my bow.
Yeah.
So I got on the Norman Tebbit, got on the bike, and done the knowledge. I started doing the knowledge in December the 6th, 1983, and I passed out March the 6th, 86. So it took me 27 months. You get to a stage going through the knowledge that it's once you've done that first winter, you thought there's no turning back.
Starting in December.
Yeah, there's no turning back, and you don't give up.
That's quite quick for the knowledge, isn't it? 27
It was
months?
about average then. It was about average, yeah.
Yeah, because what is it now?
Oh,
I thought it
3
was
to
4 years.
5.
3 to 4 years,
Yeah,
maybe even
yeah.
longer now. But it's a different type of knowledge entirely now.
Got sat navs now.
It's
Got sat
easier.
nav.
It's easier now.
Yeah, no. We used to learn a radius of Charing Cross, 6 miles, and then you go say from Charing Cross to say Chiswick, which is 6 miles. Then you do the circumference of that all around London, which takes you from Chiswick to Leytonstone, basically, Muswell Hill down to Streatham, and everything in that area we had to learn. But now it's been extended to 12 miles, which is basically the everything within the M25.
Oh, wow.
You know, so it's but I don't know how they do it these days.
Yeah, because we've got sat navs, right? So
Yeah. But
Yeah, you still
anyway,
have to.
but so in '86 I passed out. It was traditional to give you first ride away for free.
Oh, really? And what was that?
Fortunately enough, I remember I got
It was a tenner.
All from Soda Heath.
I picked up a cab. I picked up a cab in Brixton because that's where I was learning to drive a cab. Brixton, it's called the London General, and I picked the cab up. Drove all the way into Victoria Station. No one flagged me down, so I put on the station, and the guy said Sloane Square. So I thought, well, that's not too bad. It was about £3.60 or something then, you know. And I said, "That's on me, mate." And he said, "What are you talking about?" He said, "You're my first ride." He said, "What, this morning?" I said, "No, my life." So I said, "It's tradition." So anyway, and anyway, thanks very much. And I actually remember the second one. I got one local to St Pancras, and I was telling him. He said, "Don't I get a free ride?" I said, "No,
Charge him
sorry."
double. He has to cover the first one.
but that was it. And from '86 onwards, and I can't remember who my first celebrity was that I actually picked up.
I was about to ask that.
Yeah, I wonder. Well, they'll be on this list.
Yeah, I'm sure
of
they will be.
180 people that we have here, which we won't be going through every single one. But there's just under 180 here,
Is
and
there
they're the
really?
ones that you
Never counted it.
have you not?
No.
And they're the ones that you remember. You still add to them now, did you say?
I still add to them there. If I spot somebody on the TV and I thought in a movie or something like that, and I thought, geez, I picked them up and they're not on the list. And I'll refer back to my phone because they're all in my notes.
I was going to say, you've got this next to your seat at home every time you go, let me just check my list.
Yeah, hold on a minute. Here we go. Add to it.
So, yeah, I
Under the right
still add him.
category.
So my latest one is on there and I'll tell you about him in a minute. But yeah, so, and that is it. And for 39 years, I've been driving a cab. And this December, I just retired.
Hey!
39
Hallelujah.
years. Yes, 39
Yeah,
years.
just short of 39 years.
And
yeah.
very different now compared to what it used to be
my
up
God,
London.
yeah. So, totally different. Yeah.
That's another story of what they've done to London
Yeah,
now and all the roads.
I can go on about
and all
that.
the one-way systems and speed cameras that we've endlessly hear about.
Yeah.
Right, let's hit it with the celebrities because this could be fun with some of the stories that you've got. I'm gonna bring up kind of who I know, and the first one I can see that's literally coming out at me, Boy George.
Yeah.
2. You picked him up. Does that mean you picked him up twice?
Yes, it is. Yeah, I picked him up twice. Initially, I was on a radio circuit then, and I picked up a Mr. George. Pulled up at a Gothic mansion in Hampstead, and he come out as George O'Dowd, which is his name. No makeup. You know, I said, "Good morning, Mr. O'Dowd." Got in a cab. "Can you take me to Fulham, please, cabby?" And I took him to Fulham, and he was quiet the whole way. And I thought, I've got to talk to this guy. You know what I mean? So I said to him, "George," I said, "if you don't mind me asking," I said, "I know you're roughly about my sister's age, like born in '61. Is that right?" He said, "How do you know that?" I said, "I grew up with you, you know." So anyway, I took him to. I just wanted to know who influenced your career, and he said Mark Bolan of T-Rex. And anyway, from that moment onwards, he wouldn't shut up. You know, I couldn't get another question in.
Now. I think it's
You know,
usually the other way around.
but just recently, in the last 10 years, within 10 years, David Bowie has died, and anyway, he was on TV, and someone asked him who influenced your career, and he says David Bowie. And I thought, you bloody liar. You know, you know what I mean? You told me it was Mark Bolan. But,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, it might have
Anyway.
been both of them.
Yeah.
Mark Bolan is the guy who died in the Mini.
Yes, he had a crash, Gypsy Corner.
Gypsy Corner.
Yeah, in Putney.
So I worked there, right opposite, didn't I? I
Yeah,
remember you saying that. 'Cause
he-
there was a memorial there.
There's a
Still
memorial
is.
there, and people still inscribe his name on the tree that he hit.
Probably don't know who he is. I didn't
No,
know
I
who it was.
don't know who he is. I'm
Yeah.
sitting here thinking
T-Rex
this is
were
one I don't know.
massive in the early 70s.
No, it's a
Absolutely
dinosaur,
massive.
isn't it?
I worked.
That was their real name, Tyrannosaurus Rex, and it was shortened. It was shortened to T-Rex. Yeah.
I worked there, and there was all this stuff on the tree, and I was like, "Cock!" And I think I just spoke to you. I said, "Dad, I'm working Gypsy Corner. There's like this massive memorial on this tree. It's like ridiculously big."
When did
And
that
he said-
happen?
77.
Was
Oh,
it? Yeah, and
wow,
it's still
wow,
now.
ages
Yeah,
ago.
like
Yeah.
people, all those die-hard fans. Then,
Yeah.
still there.
Wow.
West
Yeah.
London.
They must
Whereabouts
have
is it?
been
Chiswick.
Putney, yeah. Putney, Upper Richmond Road.
Yeah.
Just short of it. Yeah.
Brilliant. So next up, who I would have been a big fan of, the Boy's Own band.
Oh right.
Ronan
Can
Keating.
I just go back to Boy George quickly?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then-
The other time I picked
You
him
got a
up.
thing about him. You picked him up twice. Now you
Yeah,
can't stop
no,
talking
I picked
about
him up twice. I picked him up in Soho with one of his gay friends, and he was out of it. You know, he's drugged up, absolutely gone, different hairstyle.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I didn't speak to him then that time.
Oh, not at all.
No,
So he was in the back of the cab?
Yeah, he was in the back of the cab with a friend. Yeah, so I never spoke to him. Anyway, getting back to Ronan Keating, I should imagine he's
Well, I'm guessing, and tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm hoping that he was a really nice guy.
not really.
Oh.
No. He's. I think
Oh.
his marriage was on the rocks at the time.
Oh, yeah, because he did get divorced.
Yeah, And I said, I know you're Ronan Keating. Yep. I didn't really get into a conversation with him at all. So that's not one really to talk about.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, he's just...
I highlighted him, got all excited.
Yeah.
Life is a roller coaster. There's been a lot of puns coming out throughout.
Talking when it comes to music bands around that time, a massive one, Spice Girls.
Oh,
Geri Halliwell, who I've seen in London before. Followed her to the toilet actually in a restaurant. Followed her and washed my hands.
She's like a little schoolgirl.
She's tiny.
Tiny,
She's
absolutely.
So tiny.
I was shocked. I got a flag down in the King's Road, Raffles, one of the big clubs in the King's Road, and the doorman. He said, just pull over this way, cabby. He said, I've got a celebrity for you. So I thought, oh, okay. And it come out, it was like a schoolgirl with a bloke, right? And I realised who it was, you know. Anyway, all the paparazzi were there, flash, got her in the cab, away I go, off to Hampstead, where she lives. And I remember that I had a car following me the whole way.
Oh, really?
And, the whole way.
It's been the height of the Spice Girls, was it?
No, it was at the other end. The other end of it. Ooh. You know, after they split. And I said to her, "Do you want me to lose them?" She said, "No, don't worry about it." So I said, "Okay, he's still there. He's following. Yeah. Anyway, when we get to Highgate, Hampstead, bigger bun, electronic gates open up. Can't see through them. I go in. Yeah. They shut the gates behind me. She gets out then.
Right, okay.
So nothing was seen.
So they couldn't.
And then as I left, I remember the milkman was there, delivering milk. And I said, "See what that was?" He said, "Yeah, I'd do a milk every day."
And he didn't. Well, he knows it's her.
He knows it's her. Yeah, it's Geri Halliwell. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
She's married to the Formula 1 man now. She's on that.
Yeah, the guy that she was with at the time, she's not with him anymore.
No, no, she is with that guy at Formula 1. Watched quite a few programs with him on the Red Bull
cool,
one.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, he's cool. And then I think this band did come after as well. And you picked up two of them, but I don't think it was the same time. Blue. We're going to Blue now.
Yeah.
All rise.
Lee Ryan and Duncan James. Yeah.
Because I remember your story about Lee Ryan, actually. Yeah.
Well, Duncan James, funny. Everyone seems to live in Hampstead. You know, I mean.
Oh, that was he.
And he was a gentleman, absolute gentleman, but he lived with his mum and dad at the time.
Oh, okay.
And he was really drunk on the back, laid out on the back seat.
Oh.
Yeah, but he weren't no trouble. I got him there, and he paid me. You know, Lee Ryan. Only recently, I say within the last 5 years, I picked him up.
Really?
He was up in court for an offence, and he said, "I think I'm going to go down." You know, he really thought that. And once again, as much as I'd never liked him on TV, you know, I thought he was such
someone like you to judge,
flash sod. You know what I mean? He was okay, nice guy. Yeah. Yeah.
No juicy gossip on
I saw Lee Ryan in Thorpe Park.
Did you?
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go.
I do like bumping into a celebrity. Yeah. Dina Carroll.
Dina Carroll lives in just north of Regis Park, and I picked her up off the street, and I knew her. I didn't know her name.
I don't know how big she was though, because I remember she had that one-hit wonder, wasn't she?
Yeah. What's she saying? Well, we got an album. We got a DVD, CD, not DVD. We got a CD of Dina Carroll.
Yes, I remember it.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can't. And I recognised the face, and I said, "I know you're famous." I said,
"If only for tonight." That's what it's called.
Anyway, she was pleasant enough, but.
Simon Le Bon, who's that? I know that name.
Simon Le Bon, are you kidding me? Yeah, Duran.
Yeah.
Duran.
Paul will be disgusted, brother Paul.
I don't know where I come
my generation. I love Duran. I just don't know who the names.
Yeah, the first time I ever met him was at Heathrow Airport, and he got in a cab behind me, and I was gutted, you know. And
because you liked him as a.
I like Duran. I always have done, and I wanted to talk to him, you know.
Yeah.
And, anyway, so that was that. I never saw him again for a few years later when he got in a cab with a mystery. A
mystery? What do you mean? A mystery woman?
Not his wife.
Oh my God, you heard it here first. Maybe his assistant.
It might have been his assistant. Yeah. Anyway.
I won't sell papers, Father. Yeah. Definitely an affair.
Yeah. He was half cut as well, drunk. Big bloke, really big bloke, about 6'3". I remember he had leather trousers on. You know, I don't know why, but he's a big lad.
This
But-
is the thing, being obviously you work nights, so a lot of the time you're picking them up
yeah,
pissed.
yeah.
And on that one, because I always remember as a kid, you going, "Oh, if I had a camera last night, I could have made a fortune." And
Yeah.
it's because Brian Harvey had been thrown over the front of your taxi.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
that
Yeah,
was
I remember
one. Funny enough, there's another one at the same location that I've not even put on this list,
Oh,
and
Had
that's
one.
what's the name?
Piers Morgan.
Oh, yes, you haven't got him down there because that's the one
Did
we
you pick
spoke
him
about
up?
at Christmas.
No, I didn't pick him up.
Gotcha,
I
that's
refused
fine.
to let him
Right,
in
we'll
my.
come back to
Yeah,
him.
we come back to him.
Yeah.
So,
I just thought that before we went live. I thought we've got Piers Morgan on
but
here.
yeah, the Brian Harvey. That was a case. I remember there was a.
The height of them, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
height of them. Yeah, there was a punch up outside Stringfellows, and he was getting an hiding, and also he got thrown against my cab, you know, and I thought, who's this? And he was giving it large, as we say, you know, but he's a puny little geezer, you know what I mean, with a big
He's
mouth.
really small now.
Yeah, with a big mouth, yeah. But yeah, I'll go on to Piers Morgan.
Yeah,
well,
feel free, go on.
at the same location at a different time. I used to rank up. I used to start very early morning, really early. I used to get into London about 3:30, 3:30ish, and Stringfellows was at its heights. And I used to plot on there like my first job, really, and pick up all the crap from the night before. Anyway, yeah, Piers Morgan come out, and I recognised him. And I thought, you're not getting in here, mate. And I'm on point. I'm on the front cab. And it weren't even a cab rank. I don't think there was, but the mini cabs were on it, and I was double parked. So anyway, he gets up to my window and then goes to my door, and he can't get in. He said, "Let me in." No, he said. I said, "No, the door's locked, mate." He said, "Why?" I said, "Because I don't want you in here." And he said, "Why not?" I said, "Because you're too drunk." In other words. And anyway, so a colleague of his come along. "Can you let us in?" I said, "No, mate." I said, "You're not getting in here." So try the cab behind. So anyway, I didn't let him in. And if you want to know the reason why, is because at the time he was editor for the Daily Mirror.
Yeah, so it wasn't because he was too drunk that you didn't
but-
let him in, or a bit of both.
A bit of both.
Right.
Yeah.
It was an easy excuse for him. Not
Yeah,
to get in.
it was an easy excuse, and I knew I'd never get reported for it, you know. And he published pictures at the Mirror about boys in Iraq that put them in the frame for trouble. So that went against my feelings. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't let him in. Anyway,
There
that's
we go.
that.
So
There you go.
Dad rejected.
Would
Piers
you
Morgan.
let him in now?
Yeah, would you let him in now?
I don't. Well, no, I don't think I would. I just don't like the man. I just don't like the man. Sorry, but I've got to have legally. I have to have a genuine reason why I don't let him in.
And it can't be that you just don't like him.
No, it can't be. It can't be. Not at all.
Yeah.
That's funny. I didn't know you had to have a.
Yeah, you have to have a genuine reason. If the job's over an hour long, you can actually refuse.
Right.
If the person is
Intoxicated.
you can refuse.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay.
And if you don't like the look of somebody, I'm not sure about that. I think you can. I've
Right.
picked up some dodgy people and they've been
Yeah.
paid me no problem at
Yeah.
all. I remember I had three Irish guys in there, and they looked long coats like they used to wear in the West, way out west, in the States in the 1800s. And they every time I looked at the mirror, they was eyeballing me,
Oh God.
and I was I could feel the hairs on the back of my neck go up. You know what I mean? And I thought they were like three IRA lords. You know what I mean? Anyway, they paid me no problem at all, but.
And just
Being
got out.
suspicious, I got out and went in the police station.
Oh, did you
I
really?
told them, I picked up three guys. They really did look dodgy.
Oh God, I'd hate that. Yeah, because
Anyway.
it is risky as well, isn't it?
Of course it is.
I mean, you've had plenty of stories where
Yeah.
it's been, probably things
Yeah.
that we shouldn't talk about. This one, who I know so well. Oh no, hold on. Let's go back to another singer, Will Young.
Lovely chap.
Yeah.
He lives in Holland Park. A very nice fella, polite. I can't really say much more about him, to be honest.
Yeah, I remember you saying
but
he was
he
nice.
was a nice lad. Yeah. Just polite. Very nice lad.
And one of your favourites. So when we look at actors, there's quite a few Bond ladies that you've
Yeah.
labelled them as. And I
Yeah.
didn't know this was a Bond lady, but I think your facial's in it slightly.
Yeah.
And someone who you've always said since I was younger who is absolutely lovely, and it's Joanna Lumley.
Oh, yeah. Joanna Lumley. She's my favourite female who I've picked up.
Yeah.
She lives she comes over just as she does
tell
on
everyone where everyone lives, Dad.
Yeah, no, she
We'll send them a
That might
postcard.
be against them.
yeah, no, she comes over just as she is on TV. Just
Yeah.
a lovely lady, polite, interested in my life. You know,
Yeah.
exactly the same as the fellow I'm going to tell you about in a minute. And I asked her. I didn't even recognise her, to be honest, when she got in the cab, because she was brunette, and I was like, and it was when she opened her mouth that I
Yeah,
realised
she's
who
got
she was.
quite a, voice, isn't
Lovely
she?
public school educated.
Yeah.
And I looked round at her and I said, "My God, I didn't realise that was you." I said, "Where's your blonde hair?" She said, "Well, I'm on stage at the moment. It requires a brunette." So
Right.
she said, "But I'm going blonde soon." She said, "I'm in a new TV series," and I didn't know what it was. It was absolutely fabulous.
How funny.
You know, so
And
yeah.
she definitely went blonde for that.
Yeah, she definitely went off of that, and she became an icon after that. you know.
What's her connection with the Gurkhas? Was her dad?
Her father was a Gurkha officer, and she was actually born in, I think it was Kathmandu in Nepal.
Yeah.
And the Nepalese become Gurkhas in the British Army,
Yeah.
and her father was an officer. Now, to be that officer, he had to speak Nepalese.
She's done loads for them.
Yeah,
hasn't she?
yeah, and she actually done an appeal for them because they were being treated really
Yeah.
nastily.
She did a documentary on it, didn't
Yeah,
she?
she did. I think
And,
a war once. It
One-
was huge,
once I
wasn't it?
think once they were out the army, that was it. They were shipped back home, and they couldn't stay in England. You know,
Right.
but now I believe they can. You know,
Right.
but she's she cares for them.
She's fabulous.
Absolutely fabulous.
She is absolutely fabulous. We like Joanna Lumley. That was the good one. Stephen, are there any before I get to my next highlighted? Oh no, don't worry.
Get that off me back.
Now, hold on, because I'm trying to think of the programme.
Are you gone past actors yet?
No,
stay
no,
on-
on actors.
Can we stay on this page though?
Yeah.
Because I want to put to someone else I want to talk about.
Yeah. Yeah, of course you can. Yeah, you come in whenever you want
Right.
to. I was going to jump to Sean Bean because I know who he is.
Him and the one
He was my
underneath.
one,
Yeah,
yeah. Legend.
yeah. Sean Bean. Now,
What's the programme?
Do it for Yorkshire.
What's the
Sean
programme?
Bean.
Sharp.
Sharp.
Sharp's
Oh,
You
Rifles.
need to watch that. That was good.
Yeah, Sharp's Rifles.
And
now,
I find him quite hot, actually, Sean Bean.
well, so did
absolutely.
Mum. So
Yeah.
did Mum. But she wouldn't have done this particular night because he was ratter. Excuse
all right,
me.
you can say that.
You know, he was so drunk he wasn't even incoherent.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
God.
He was that bad.
Did he have help?
He had he was wearing a tux, bow tie, and everything. Been to a dinner.
Sign of
Been
a
to a
good
dinner.
night. He'd had a lovely old
And
night.
it went from I remember I picked him up in Camden. No, he lived in Camden High Street. I picked him up at Swiss Cottage. But and I really wanted to talk to him
Oh,
because
yes, I remember
Sharp
this.
Sharp was which you don't know on here, but I was a former Royal Green Jacket territorial for 12 years, and Sharp was our forebearers. They were our regiment back in the Peninsular Wars in the Napoleonic times, and because he played Richard Sharp and he played a guy from the South Essex Regiment.
Yeah.
That's why you got Essex Regimental Way, right?
Yes, yeah.
I'll go into that in a minute. Anyway, he was. I just wanted to talk to him, and also he played.
He's a bit of one of your idols.
Yeah,
and
he
you
played
can talk
Andy
to him.
McNabb as
I
well.
say my favourite was Bravo 20.
Yeah, Bravo 20. He played Andy McNabb. Now, Andy McNabb, before he was in the SAS, he was in I think it was 2 RGJ. He was a Royal Green Jacket.
Yeah.
Found it boring. He wanted more action, so he joined Hereford, the Hereford Cowboys, as they're known.
Can you imagine that? If you were going to pick someone up in the taxi who you absolutely love and would love to have a chat with, who would yours be?
I don't know.
Well, back in the day, mine would have been Leonardo DiCaprio. And if he
Yeah.
turned up in the taxi and couldn't even talk because he was so pissed,
Yeah,
I'd
yeah,
be
yeah.
absolutely gutted.
Who would I want to?
Yeah, who would you want to? I was asking Mum,
not
Dad, Barbara
really.
and Danny this the other day about who would you want to have dinner with if you could choose anybody. Mine would actually now be Kate Winslet, not Leo.
Would it?
Yeah, and if she was in the back of my taxi, I would be...
Yeah.
I
chuffed
do
to
get
bits.
like I always often do think about a dinner table, 10 people. Who would you have round? there?
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais would definitely be one of them.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not like I'm not like I would die on Ricky Gervais fan. I just think it'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I've only just recently...
Off my head.
I never watched The Office.
Yeah, off my head. For one, definitely be my first choice, Stephen Fry.
I've heard, I'm not too sure
Yeah,
at the moment. I've
for
heard
me,
a few
for
things
me
the other day.
I like. He's born in the same year as me, 1956. So I relate to him that way. But I think he's very, and he also took a black cab right across America. To 50 states. He drove a black
okay.
cab
That rings a bell, actually.
And it was converted
For
to
a
a
bed.
left-hand drive. And he went up and down the States all the way up. And, of course, he had to get a boat
That
to
would be an
Hawaii.
interesting chat.
Yeah, but I do like him. I think, yeah.
I'd have David Attenborough just like narrate the night.
Yeah.
And the next course coming in.
If we stand on this first page,
Yeah.
right at the very bottom, we've got Edward Fox.
Yeah.
Now, there's a connection with Edward Fox and our family.
I don't know who he is.
Edward Fox.
He's your uncle.
Edward Fox is a well-known British actor. Plays a toff most of the time. He's formerly
I'm going to get a picture of him up because if we can refer to him.
Yeah, do it.
I want to get the phone
formerly
out.
educated at Eton. I believe he was educated at Eton. And he played a guy in a film, The Bridge Too Far, which was about the Arnhem in 1944. He played a tank commander of 30 Corps. His name was Brian Horrocks. Now, I picked him up this Sunday morning, and
No, I don't know him.
show me.
No,
He looks
but I'm
like-
sure some of the listeners
He
will.
looks like the
That
tennis.
is
He
it.
looks like the tennis bloke.
He's the original Dad of Jackal.
Right. Oh.
Yeah, that's the
Who's
dad.
That's
the
a good
tennis?
series.
Who's the tennis
Uh,
presenter?
tennis-
Guy. Just Wimbledon.
Oh, I can't remember.
He looks like
Off
him.
my head, I can't remember.
It's a woman.
But anyway, I picked him up and I said, "Good morning, Mr. Fox." You know, and he said, "Good morning, Cabby. How are you?" I said, "I'm fine, mate. You know, I'm good." I said, "Where'd you like to go?" He said, "Can you take me to the Imperial War Museum?" Now, he lived in Maida Vale, lovely house on the canal there, Little Venice, it's known as.
Andrew Castle.
Andrew Castle. Oh,
I actually thought it was him.
Yeah.
you think he looks like him? Oh.
Oh, he's a former tennis player. He is.
Yeah, that's it.
yeah. And anyway, I got talking to him, and I said, "God," he sort of started talking to me about how long he'd been a cabbie and all that. I said, "Well, I've been 20 odd years or something like that at the time." I said, "But I've got to ask this question to you." I said, "You played Brian Horrocks in Bridge Too Far, didn't you? That led 30 Corps at Arnhem." He said, "My God, how do you know that?" I said, "Well, I love the film." I said, "I'm a bit of a history freak." Geek. So I said, plus my cousin and her husband bought his house down in Somerset,
Sharon.
near Glastonbury. He said, "Not Manor Farm." I said, "Yes, Manor Farm. That's right." So I said, "You know it then?" He said, "I've actually stayed there." You know, he said, I said, why did you stay there? He said, "Well, I was getting in character for the general, you know,
All right.
who he was playing because he was alive at the time."
Right.
And then, you know, we just chatted all the way. To me, the journey was too short. I could have chatted to him all day long.
Oh, so
All
how are
day
we
long.
related?
For Sharon.
He bought the
Sharon.
house.
Sharon and her husband bought the general's house.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so not
So-
like related through
no,
the
no,
family,
it's
just
through-
through property.
Just
So
like,
we stand to inherit that.
What they call it, 6 points of connection or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I see
He
what
played
you're
the
saying.
general, and Sharon and Tony bought
That's it.
6 degrees of separation. That's
There
it.
we go. Thanks
That's
for
the
that,
one.
Alex.
That's the one.
So will we get that handed down to us? That
Oh no, they don't. They live in Chislehurst now. They sold that, but it was a lovely house. I'd got a fare down to Devon one day, and I thought, well,
was that your longest
Or
fare?
was that
Get
your
on that. Your longest fare.
£400 or something?
yeah, I
that
got a
was?
fare down to Theresa Mary, where my aunt Mari and my uncle Bob lived. And on the way back from their house, I thought I'd look into Sharon, and of course I pulled up at Sharon, whose dad was actually a cab driver, my uncle Johnny, and yeah, she was so surprised she thought it was the father turning up, and she actually offered me something to eat and drink, and I actually stayed the night and drove home the following day. You know,
And how much was that fare down to Devon?
Oh.
Was that your biggest one?
it wasn't the most. It probably was the longest fare, down to Exeter.
I want to say it was 400 or something from memory.
It
Like,
was. I think it was.
You've got excited
it-
about it and told us. as
Yeah, I
kids.
think it was. To be honest, I think it was 436.
Yeah. We'll never know, Dad, but we could say you've
I'll
got an amazing
I'll have to
memory.
look back at my book, you know. But no, it was a big fare, and anyway, I've been down there twice to Devon, you know. But
Is that a good thing? Having a big fare like that is a bit inconvenient.
oh no, it's lovely, mate.
I suppose getting Devon's lovely.
Yeah, it is.
out of
it is-
London, I
yeah,
suppose.
it is nice. Oh,
Yeah.
anything to get me out of London.
Yeah.
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 Nowadays, I mean, it's shocking. Yeah. Anyway, We get back to this. Right.
All right, Stephen, tell me if you've got any more. But I was
No,
going
yeah,
on
Sean
to
Bean is a legend. That's the one I do. Yorkshire.
Bob Hoskins.
Bob Hoskins, yeah.
That's a pretty big one.
Yeah, I didn't really have much conversation with him. I think we was talking about the Long Good Friday. That was all.
Colin Firth.
Colin Firth.
Is that the dark-haired guy? Irish.
No. Colin Firth is in everything. He's in,
Oh no, Colin Firth is in.
You're thinking
he's in this new one now about
I know what you're
Lockerbie.
Colin Firth's. He's a god.
It's
isn't he?
Mamma Mia. He was one of the fathers.
Yes.
One of the fathers.
Why do I get him mixed up with another dark-haired guy? Who?
Colin
Colin
Farrell.
Farrell.
That's it. That's
yeah.
what I'm getting mixed up with.
Yeah, Colin Firth. I picked him up before he was really a household name.
Love Actually. You know Love Actually.
Yeah.
He's all
Sure.
the Christmas ones.
Yeah.
Love
But
Actually.
a nice guy.
Hugh Grant-y kind of actor.
Vibes.
yeah,
Yeah. West
yeah.
End films. Sort of
But
like West London.
Colin Firth has gone from the moment I picked him up. He seems to have gone from strength to strength.
Oh, it must have been you.
It must have been
Must have
me.
been
Yeah,
you, Dad.
it must have been.
You inspired him.
But no, nice chap, very nice
Where
fella.
have you seen Bob Hoskins?
Bob
is he on
Hoskins.
here?
Oh yeah, no, he's on the actors continued
Yeah.
list. So you
Oh,
should have
I
had the
haven't-
one I printed for you.
Oh, I haven't got that.
I
Hang
did
on.
a nice
I've been
printout for us
stitched
all.
right up
Dad
there.
gave you his rubbish one, and I've got a nice
No,
one.
I
It's
don't.
all in order. I've got 2 columns.
Oh, actually, no, is this it? Yeah.
is that it?
Ralph Fiennes on it.
Don't know. I can't see
Yeah,
that one.
Ralph Fiennes is
Neil Stoke.
Neil Stoke. Yes,
He's
Neil.
we loved him. Didn't
Yeah.
we? He was a family favourite of ours.
Yeah,
Don't
it
know
was.
who he is. Do you?
Oh, from
Family
You would do.
favourite.
what was it
With
called?
Paul Wood,
Game On.
Game On.
Oh,
Samantha
yes.
Janice.
Samantha Janice.
That was
Yeah.
a good
Yeah,
programme.
I picked them both up together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Samantha Janice. Don't hear much of her these days.
She
do
was
you?
lovely.
Oh, yes, you're
Yeah.
right above it, yeah.
Yeah, she was lovely. Yeah.
She was
What's his
nice.
name in it?
Oh, I can't remember. I
Oh,
can't-
Paul will be
Matt.
screaming it. Matt.
Matt.
Yeah, it was Matt.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And Ginger,
Yes.
and Ginger Bollocks.
Ginger
Oh, sorry,
Tosser.
not that good.
Matt.
Ginger Tosser.
The
Sorry, yeah.
Ginger Tosser.
Bollocks.
Oh, it's so fun. The army one when they're in the living room.
Oh yeah, I know.
He's
With
got the
the-
sausages.
with-
He's got the sausages.
Yeah.
He got it. My guts are coming out.
Got a good memory.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember it being
with,
on.
About with a Hoover.
So funny.
Oh God.
With a Hoover. That was.
Keep it clean.
Yeah. Go on.
But we used to watch it on Soccer AM and then watch them
it
all
was-
day
I
Saturday,
wonder if
didn't we?
Marcus watched it, you know.
Oh,
'cause
it's
if not, I
funny.
think he'd find
It's
it really
so funny.
We just watched it over and over and over again.
It's
didn't we?
absolutely hilarious because he was agoraphobic.
Yes, that's right.
And
That's
he-
not going out. No,
he's not going out.
It.
He did go out.
He's in fear of open spaces.
Yeah.
And he lived in the film was actually shot in Prince of Wales Drive in Battersea Park.
Oh,
Battersea Park.
really?
Yeah, I recognised it. You know,
Oh,
and he
lovely.
and he did like treading on the pavement. You know, the creases in the
The cracks of the
cracks of the pavement. Yeah.
But it was one of those. Then the new guy come in, and it was like he's not going to be Matt, is he?
Yeah.
But it wasn't Neil Stoke, was he? But he did all right. That
Yeah,
actually,
yeah,
didn't
he took
did.
over.
Yeah.
He weren't the original the original guy that played him. He's actually underneath him, Ben Chaplin.
Oh, really? Oh, how about that?
He was the original one with Samantha Janice.
Yeah.
He was the
Okay.
original one. Once again, what a lovely fella. Nice
yeah.
fella. I don't know whether he lived in Hampstead, but I took him to Hampstead with another guy.
Yes,
and
I bet
Another
hang around
Hampstead.
Hampstead.
but
Celebrity.
he was also in a thing called it'll come to me in a minute. But
It'll come to you.
yeah, he's a good, nice fella, really nice fella.
Linda Robson.
Linda Robson,
She's a loose woman.
loose woman,
isn't she?
yeah, nice.
Oh, yeah, because I just see that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what's her name's not
Pauline,
well, is she?
Not well. That
Yeah, I
came
see
out
that
this
pop-
week.
yeah, I
that
saw
is
that.
sad, actually.
Yeah, that
Dementia.
is.
Who's not well?
I hadn't
Dementia,
seen.
Pauline out of
Yeah,
Birds of a Feather.
Pauline Quirk.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yes.
I hadn't seen the two of them together in a picture for
Yeah.
20 years ago. So
No.
and I saw it. You know, it just takes you back.
Yeah,
Like,
they
you think,
said
"Oh,
something about
wow."
that. I think they'd had, well, whether they'd had a fallout or not, I don't know. But she did say that she's
Yeah,
suffering
they're
with
lifelong
dementia.
friends. They've been.
Yeah.
I don't think they
Yeah.
were school friends. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but
she nice, Linda?
yeah,
She's
she
quite
was. Yeah,
very
it's
normal,
down
she-
to earth. Just an east. Well, she's not East End. She's from North One. She's from Islington, and she still lives there. You know, and I took her down to the Tower Hotel with her husband. They'd gone out, and I actually
Right,
thought her
out
husband
in
was.
town.
I thought her husband was a cab driver, but I think it's her brother's a cab driver.
Craig Childs.
Craig Charles, yeah, he was in the Red Dwarf, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
good.
Oh,
and in Corrie, yeah, and in
Yeah.
Coronation Street.
Yeah.
He died.
Could have hit.
No,
he's still
he's
going.
still about.
He had a nasty accident. I think was it.
He was
It might have been actually.
enjoyable.
It might have been a storyline in Coronation Street. I'm sure he fell off a quad bike. Or
He was
I
one-
might have completely made that up.
So he was in the news. But I
Something.
thought he'd died, but sorry if he hasn't. Yeah.
But if he has, rest in peace.
Yeah.
I don't think he has died. Yeah.
There was something
I'm
about
Googling
he
that
was,
after.
he was a Scouser.
Craig Childs, Alex, see if he's
He was
died.
a Scouser. He's from Liverpool. Yeah,
because he done Robot Wars.
That's right,
Robot
he
Wars.
did. Yeah, he done that.
And Red Dwarf. Yeah, was a big
Red
one.
Wolf. Yeah.
Julian Clary.
I was going to say that Julian Clary was one of the main ones I remember. I haven't
Yeah.
actually crossed it off myself, but he was one of the main people I remember.
didn't highlight him.
You mentioned.
I picked him up in Regent Street, and he wanted to look. He's buying suitcases. He weren't emigrating. He was going out to Australia for some time. And
Nice guy, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was all right. Yeah, I mean, he was very effeminate, and a bit flamboyant, to be honest.
Touchy.
Yeah, but he
Not
was
quite masculine enough.
No, he wasn't rude or nothing. No, he was a perfect job. Paid me no problem.
There's not many other actors that I've highlighted on here because I don't know a lot of them because I'm a baby compared to.
Sir
Yeah.
Ian McKellen.
Sir Ian
Where do I know
McKellen.
that name?
Yeah, he's Gandalf.
Yeah,
Gandalf.
Yeah.
I picked him up a long
What's
while
that?
ago.
Lord of the
That's
Rings.
exactly what I was thinking.
Took him to his house. He lived on
Beard, grey beard.
the Grapes. I think he bought the pub The Grapes in Narrow Street.
The Grapes.
The Grapes,
What a
which
name.
is right on the River Thames, down in not Shad. It's not Shadwell, is it? It's Limehouse.
Oh, yeah, I know.
But I'm just going to put my glasses on because there's another guy on here that the old listeners know who I'm talking about. Danny Bonaduce, as it says here, but he's
What a name.
I said, yeah, I know you're Danny Bonaduce, aren't you? He said, no, I'm Danny Bonaduce. So for anybody that's listening and watching, Danny Bonaduce was the little ginger tosser that was in the Partridge Family, going back in the 70s with the heartthrob David Cassidy. But
Mum's favourite.
yeah, but this guy, Danny Bonaduce, he was a nice fella.
That's
but
the best surname I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Bonaduce, not Bonaduce. Bonaduce.
Bonaduce.
That's hilarious.
Well, Il Duce was Mussolini during the Second World War, and it's Duce, not Deuce, not Duce, they pronounce
Where do I
it.
know Jasper Carrot from?
Oh, Jasper Carrot, he was so funny. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't take him to Birmingham, I took him to Euston Station, but he done the two detectives, him and Robert Powell. But he's a comedian, he's stand-up comic.
That's right.
But he was hilarious. And I was talking, just by chance, about a week before I picked him up, I was watching him on TV with Robert Powell as the detectives, and I think it was called The Detectives. And I was explaining the scene he was in stitches. He was in stitches.
Yeah.
A short journey, though. Oh, when you wish you could have it a longer journey.
Yeah,
a longer journey.
If I had someone that I absolutely loved in the back. So unless there's any other actors there, Dad, that you want to talk about, that you've got a bit of a story
I'll give some. There's two right at the very top there. Matt Smith and Lily James.
Don't know them.
Matt Smith was Doctor Who.
Oh, right, yeah, I do
And
know
Lily
him.
James has gone from strength. They've split up now, and I recognised him, and I didn't recognise. I recognised him. I knew who he was, but Lily James, I couldn't place who she was, and I said, "I know your face. I know you. You look her up, Stephen." So anyway, it turns out that from they've split up now, but
She a
was
model?
no, she's not. No,
Actress.
actress. But she was. I said, "You in some period thing?" She said, "That's right." And I
Some
got,
drama.
it's Downton Abbey.
Oh, bloody
Yeah,
hell.
show Laura.
Oh, well, I've not seen Downton Abbey.
Yeah,
I know, don't
yeah,
kill me.
yeah.
I haven't seen it. I will watch it one day. Oh, okay. She's
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah, she was nice. Going back down the list, there we got Bob Hoskins. We've mentioned Glenda Jackson, another one. There's the Richardson girls, Jolie and Natasha. Jolie Richardson was Liam Neeson's wife, I think, who died on a skiing accident. Do you remember
Sad.
that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
It's so
and-
sad.
Who was that, Dad? Sorry.
Jolie Richardson.
Oh, yeah.
And they were the Redgrave children. And Lynn Redgrave and Vanessa Redgrave, they were a famous sort of dynasty of actors and actresses. Where we go? Let's go down the list a
Julie
bit
Christie. Where do I know that?
Julie Christie, she was Zara in the original Dr. Zhivago. Didn't have much to say to her. She, very quiet. She didn't look as nice as she did in the movie. But
Poor woman, all she was doing was going to get a paper from the shop. And
Prunella Scales, she was the wife of Basil Fawlty,
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but Terry Jones.
We've got a D next to the ones that have
Yeah,
deceased.
deceased.
So I
Dead,
think you're an
deceased.
assassin, and you're just ticking them off as you take them off. Because just
There's a lot of D's.
D,
Oh, what?
Yeah, as it's like you're just ticking. Suddenly, there's more and more D's that have been announced. Dad's taken out another one.
Yeah.
D for dead.
But
Right, moving on to sport.
Wait.
Nigel Mansell.
yeah, Nigel
24.
Mansell. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Just by chance, I had in the taxi, I had a cycling magazine, and it had Nigel Mansell and his two sons
Oh, okay.
Now,
What, on the front?
on the front. I think they was on the front cover
Okay, but on the magazine, yeah.
in the magazine. They had a note, but he's a keen cyclist now, Nigel Mansell,
Right.
and being an ex-Formula One, he liked the adrenaline rush. And I just happened to have this magazine in the cab, and I said, "Can you sign it for me?" I've got it's probably in the loft somewhere, indoors, But yeah, and I took him down to Chelsea. That's where he lived. Underneath that, you've got a few Chelsea players.
So Dennis
I
Wise is one.
remember
Yeah.
these. I remember you picking them up, but I always remember all their names. I couldn't.
Dennis
picture them.
Wise, yeah, Dennis Wise.
Dennis Wise, there was a bit of it to do with a taxi driver.
That's
wasn't there?
right, yeah. And I said to him, "I know you. Where do I know you from?" Now, he played with Wimbledon,
Yeah.
at the time. And I thought, where do I know that your face? And I said, "You from the East End, mate?" He said, "No, I'm from. I think he said I'm from Shepherd's Bush." That's right. He said, "I'm from Shepherd's Bush." I said, "Where do you know?" And he must have thought I was taking the mick out of him because it hit me like a ton of bricks. I know you are. You're Dennis Wise.
Oh, so you didn't
and
recognise him.
of course, he'd already previously had this incident with a black cab driver, and they got to a punch up, I believe,
Oh, wow.
and it was in the papers.
Yeah.
Oh,
But underneath that, I've got two Italian Chelsea players,
yes.
Gianfranco Zola and Gianluca Vialli.
Oh, Vialli.
Bless him, he's passed away now. But two icons of Italian football,
Yeah.
So
you know, and the two.
you took them. They're the European Cup game.
I took them to Heathrow with Graham Lasso, who was underneath that again.
Yeah.
They were flying out ahead of the Chelsea team for some reason the day before, he told me. But I took them to Heathrow. I remember the morning it was pouring down the rain, and Gianluca Vialli comes out with a pair of dark shades on, as if it was brilliant sunshine.
Mr.
Legend.
Cool.
Yeah, Mr. Cool, yeah.
But
yeah.
was he as cool as David Ginola?
No, David Ginola. If I was a woman, I'd fancy him.
Don't have to be a woman's fancy anymore.
No,
Dave.
that's true.
But no, what a lovely bloke, absolute gentleman. Called me sir, thank you, sir. And he got in the cab with Patrick Keelty, who's on the other page here.
Oh,
you got in there with him?
He got in the cab with him because they were playing a celebrity game at Wembley.
Right. Oh, that's probably the one that Robbie Williams holds each
It,
year.
it may be, yeah. But he was an absolute,
soccer aid.
Yeah.
absolute gentleman. There's another
But what was Patrick Kilty like? 'Cause I remember-
horrible.
Was
He was
he?
horrible, yeah.
Is that the one married to Kat Daly?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Oh,
I remember
really?
that
And he's
coming
head up
with
his
it.
own backside. Yeah, yeah.
Really?
I didn't like him at all. Never. Yeah.
Enough said.
Enough said. Anyway, I'll go through the Paul Merson's on here, who's the one that.
Decent.
Yeah, you can talk about him if you want.
No, it's cool.
Yeah.
You do it.
What
No,
was he at your
he
thing?
come. He comes
That's
and
right,
spoke at one of our events.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Real nice guy, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Gone through
Yeah.
a tragic life. I say tragic. It's self-imposed.
Tough time.
Yeah, being
Hard
a
time.
gambler
Right.
and alcoholic and everything else. But he was open, very, very open about it. Gary Speed there, he's deceased. Bless him. I won't go in too much about how he died, but he was a friend of David, our cousin.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
But,
Gary,
Our
yeah,
cousin
yeah.
who was a footballer.
Yeah, he played with David at Leeds United.
At least, I say where he played with him.
Yeah. There's Paul Miller there, an ex-Tottenham player.
Steve McNamara.
Steve McNamara,
That's
as
what
Mum
used
would
to
said.
call- Yeah, McManaman.
Steve McManaman. She called him Steve
I know that
McNamara.
name, Steve McManaman.
Curly hair.
Now we're going to get on to...
Champions League winner.
I know.
Wasn't he?
Yeah,
I know
was-
he
yeah,
was
he was.
He absolutely winged that one, didn't
Yeah,
he?
yeah. And now we're getting on to your sports, Stephen. We're just,
Jason, I always remember you said he was the only person who ever took up your whole mirror.
yeah,
Rear view
yeah.
mirror.
Absolute massive guy. I thought I had a big chest, but
Who is he?
he was
Oh,
England,
rugby.
England,
Yeah.
England
Rugby.
prop forward.
He's quite senior in the
Yeah.
RFU now. I met him at golf actually last year.
Yeah, it was a February night. I'll never forget this. It
The
was
Fun Bus is his nickname.
Is it?
Fun was,
Yeah.
yeah.
It was a February night, and I was once again that's ice string fellows. He's got out. He's come out. He's had a drink, but I thought I'm not going to argue with
You're
it.
looking down at your thing all the time.
Sorry?
Take them off.
Take them off.
Yeah.
I'm not going to argue with him. Anyway, he got in a cab, and I said, "Mr. Leonard," I said, "You wouldn't have left your jacket in behind me." No, I didn't have a jacket. His shirt and trousers, suit trousers, and it was minus something. It was freezing. Where would you like to go? Twickenham. So,
he lives over there as well,
I took him to Twickenham. He's got out of the cab. He said, "I need a cash point." I said, "Okay." So he's got out of the cab and he started running. And I thought, my God, surely he's not running away from me. But he started running and he ran in a circle just to keep
stay warm.
warm himself up. Anyway, he got him to the cash point. He paid me there. He didn't show me where he lived, but he lived in Twickenham somewhere.
Yeah, because he was barking, wasn't he? Originally,
He was barking, yeah. Now, the guy underneath him, Steve Borthwick, was that the one I didn't even recognise?
No, that was.
I didn't even
you
know
didn't
who
know Joe DeMarla. You didn't recognise it. And Richard Hibbard, the two of them. In the cab.
Yeah, that's right. They got in the cab together.
They were playing in a Barbarians game, and they were in
Correct.
London for it.
Yeah, Jeremy Guscott's on there.
Jeremy Guscott, you picked up the day before my birthday, and we were going. Me, you, and Lee were going to Spain, and he gave you a tenner tip for me and Lee to buy something at the airport. And then we bought a miniature rugby ball with it.
Well, I'll tell you when that was. I'll tell you when it was then. That was 2003 because it was sort of 4 or 5 months before the World Cup.
Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, and I said to Jeremy, that summer, yeah, and I said to Jeremy Guscott, "How do you think we could do?" He said, "We're going to piss it." Oh,
Did he? Yeah.
He said, "We're going to win. We're going to win."
He's a good-looking man. Isn't
Yeah, I should think so. He had 2 lovely Richards on his arms.
Yeah.
2 lovely young ladies, I should say.
What's the Richards?
Richard III.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, I've never heard you said like that before.
It's the old, sorry.
I don't know any more of these sports people, sadly.
Well,
Shame David Beckham's not on there, but,
There is another famous rugby player who
would be on my list, on my table?
Without upsetting my Welsh friends, Gareth Edwards.
Gareth
Edwards.
Oh, you liked him, didn't you?
Yeah,
Nice guy.
yeah, he was a nice chap. Yeah, but he's got one of the greatest tries of all time when he played for the Barbarians against the All Blacks.
Yeah, that is yeah.
Clive Thomas, Joe.
Yeah, well, you picked up Joe Marler and Richard Hibbard.
Yeah.
And then you said to me the day after, Steve, I picked up a couple of people yesterday and took them to Twickenham again. I think, or do you pick them up at Twickenham? Or somewhere in London?
I can't remember. I dropped
and
them.
He said, I don't know who they were. He said, one of them didn't play rugby, and the other one just looked like a Viking.
Yeah, that was Richard
They
Hibbard.
both looked like Vikings.
Yeah, they both looked like, because he had like a mohawk.
He had a mohawk, and Richard Hibbard's got a big long blonde hair, but he's a big lump as well. He's Welsh.
Virginia Wade is famous. She won Wimbledon 1977, ladies Wimbledon winner. Jubilee year.
What's Graham Gooch like?
Graham Gooch, he was a bit miserable, to be honest. I didn't have much to say with him.
Who's Jane Crouch picking up the
Jane
women?
Crouch, now that's interesting because Jane Crouch was the first woman professional boxer.
Okay.
And my mate Richie Davis, he actually refereed her. I don't know whether it was that particular match.
Dickie Davis.
Richie, he don't like being called Dickie anymore.
He's
a Richie Davis now.
Yeah.
Oh, how funny.
But you see this podcast, he will. Here we go. Peter O'Sullivan, he's a famous horse commentator. Sebastian Coe, twice picked him.
Oh, yeah. What's he like?
I don't know who that is.
Sebastian Coe,
Coe?
you don't know who he is. A world champion runner, Olympic champion.
Yeah, he headed up the London Olympic campaign.
800 metres, yeah.
Should probably know that one.
Picked him up. Yeah, he'd become an
slimy.
MP, yeah. He's down to earth when I spoke to him, but when you see him on TV, he speaks like he's got a plum in his mouth. yeah.
In his
Bit
mouth?
of an actor then. Should put him under actor. Moving on. So, ones that I'm familiar with now. And I don't know. I can't remember what your views were on this one, actually. But Jonathan Ross.
Jonathan Ross, yes, I've picked him up. And he's doing a programme on TV as we speak, going back to his roots. And I'd never believed that he'd come out of Leytonstone. He's an East Ender boy, you know what I mean?
Oh, right.
Yeah. But I didn't have much to say. He was polite. Jonathan King, underneath him, he was an entrepreneur back in the late 60s, made a record called Una Paloma Blanca. Una Paloma Blanca.
Anyone heard of that?
Yeah,
No, me
anyway,
neither. Carol Vorderman.
Carol Vorderman,
Oh,
yeah.
and Carol McGiffin. Again, all these ladies have been on the Loose Women.
The Carol McGiffin story is so funny.
Oh, yeah. Didn't you ring Mum or something?
Yes, I did ring Mum.
Yeah.
Carol McGiffin got in my cab. I picked her up in Thrift Street late at night, about 1:30ish. And
every location, every drop off.
Yeah, I do. I know. Anyway, I said, God blimey. I said, I've got to tell the wife. I said, I'm gonna ring her. And she said, really? She said, I'll bust one in the morning. I said, no, she'll be pleased to hear you.
You FaceTimed her, didn't you?
No, I didn't FaceTime. I rang her.
Oh, you rang.
And Mum's asleep. So Margaret, I said, I've got someone here to talk to you.
At 1:30 in the morning.
1:30. She said, who's that? I said, Carol McGiffin off of Loose Women. Really? I said, yeah. So she said to me, Carol in the back, she said, pass me the phone. So I passed her the phone. And she said, Margaret, it's Carol here, Carol McGiffin off of Loose Women. And I'm in the back of your husband's cab and he's driving me all round the effing houses. Don't even know where he's going.
Did she? That's hilarious.
Yeah. And I was in stitches.
Oh,
you know
that's
what I mean?
brilliant.
Oh, yeah, but that's that story.
Oh,
but she,
I like her.
lovely lady.
And then Carol Vorderman.
Carol Vorderman, yeah, she, I picked her up. I know she lived in Parliament View, which is right on the other side of Lambeth Bridge. I can't remember where I dropped her, but I picked her up there. Yeah, didn't have much to say to her really. No, not really. Joe Wood underneath that one. Now that's twice. I picked her up. The first time I picked her up was in Hollywood Road, just off the King's Road. Smart looking woman, but you could see she's
Ronnie Wood's wife,
yeah,
right?
been round the block a bit, you know, like as for drugs, booze, and everything else. And got chatting to her, and she wanted to go to her house, which is up near Regent's Park. And we got talking about our roots, and I said, well, my roots exist from Devon. And she said, that's where my roots exist. Yeah. I said, what's your name? I told her, oh no, she told me her name. She said, Kerslake.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. And I said, you've got to be kidding. She said, no, is that your name? I said, no. I said, here's my name, and I've got my bill out with Bernie Kerslake on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she said, my God, you can't believe it.
Oh,
anyway,
funny.
Yeah. But she turns out to be, she was Ronnie Wood's wife for, I don't know how long, but they divorced. But her brother was Paul Kerslake, which is your other brother's name. Yeah, yes. Yeah. And he was an artist, and he done a lot of pictures of the Stones and various other musical artists. Yeah, but he's recently died, and he's younger than me. He's younger than me. Yeah. But Annika Rice, another twice I picked her up there. Annika Rice, yeah, Challenge Annika. Do you remember that program?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she was being dragged through the press for certain reasons, and I picked her up, and I found her so miserable. I thought, well, I'm not going to even speak to her.
Oh, really?
And I picked her up again.
So last time you pick her up?
A few years later, I thought, well, she might be jolly this time. No, still the same.
Still miserable.
Third time lucky.
Yeah, go on.
Mick
Mick Norcross is an interesting one.
With a D next to him, deceased.
Yeah, deceased. Yeah, I picked him up illegal.
Can you say that? Or you don't make
Can I pick him up illegally?
Can you say? I was going to say, can you say it? But you can lose your badge now, don't you? You don't really care.
I don't really care. I'm retired. Mick Norcross. Yeah, I picked him up outside his pub, which was known as the Sugar Hut, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, his bar. Yeah,
his club, whatever it's called.
So you was on your way home, was you?
Yeah,
you dropped someone at Brentwood, and then
I was actually on the way. Well, I went down to London to do a night's work, and I pulled on Canary Wharf, and the first guy said, "Can you take me to Brentwood?" I said, "Oh mate," I said, "I've just come in from that way." He said, "I'll give you a drink."
I'll have to go home.
So I said, "Okay." He gave me a drink. You know, he took me, and I went as I'm driving him home. I've gone past the Sugar Hut, and there's a cab rank there, no cabs, and about 200 people waiting for a cab. I thought, well, this is it. I've hit the jackpot here. And
so you can take people into London, can't you? I heard this the other day at the cab.
I'm not. No. I can take them out of London. Out of London.
But you can't take someone. I listened online said you could pick someone up outside and take them into London.
But if it's a pre-booked, I can.
Okay.
I can't officially take them off the street.
Okay,
you know,
fair play.
But this, so I weren't supposed to take them off the rank either, outside the pub, because that's part of Brentwood's outside the Met. So anyway, I picked him up and with 4 other guys took him to Basildon. And as I dropped him off, there's 4 other guys come out of a club, wanted to go everywhere in Essex. And I thought, well, what a night I'm having. I've not even gone into London, you know. And I took a night's work.
But Mick, you said he knew a few people you knew from the past.
Yeah,
as well,
he knew of Donald, my mate Donald Essex, who's Joey Essex's father.
Yep.
He knew him.
So you worked with him at the fish market with Donald? Or you grew up with Donald?
No, I knew Donald from the fish market.
Yeah,
I was a porter when he was a shop boy, and we just hit it off, and he done me a big favour one day, and I done him a big favour one day. I'm not going to mention anything else, but we've
done each other favours.
we're still good friends, you know.
And also, I don't listen to Talk Sport, but Danny Kelly.
Yeah, he was a real football presenter.
Oh, okay.
But a character guy, you know, and he knew.
Is he still on it?
I think he may be. I'm not sure, to be honest.
John Leslie, that's controversial.
John Leslie, yeah. Another one lives in Hampstead. Bloody hell. That's him. So
tell us. So Patrick Kilty wasn't very nice. He's on this list.
No.
What, just rude?
Yeah, you know, to the extent that David Ginola, more or less apologised for him because he was
just rude.
It's
just no need.
You know,
he's not. Well, you're not David Ginola, Patrick Kilty, are you?
That's true. You'd have the answer.
He was on the L'Oreal adverts at the time, wasn't he? I'm sure he was on the L'Oreal adverts.
Not Patrick Kilty.
Yeah, I think at the same time.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Harry Enfield.
Oh, Harry Enfield. Yeah.
Was he as funny in your taxi?
No, as much as I love him now, I think his sketches now come up on my phone occasionally, and they're so funny.
Yeah.
You know, especially.
I remember all my childhood going, "I ain't been here. It's not been here."
Yeah, with Paul Whitehouse, you know, with Paul Whitehouse,
yes.
He does they rub off of one another. They really do.
You find him funny now.
He's so funny, but I picked him up from Heathrow.
When you didn't find him funny?
Well, I didn't really know much about it. I knew who he was. No, I've always found him funny, but he wasn't as popular them days as he is now. But he was, one thing I do remember of him, he was a chain smoker, and them days you could smoke in a cab.
Oh,
really?
Yeah, I remember the ashtrays. I remember.
Yeah. And he lit one up with the other. He was one after the other, all the way in from Heathrow. I picked him up. Yeah, and you know, he was a nice enough chap. He weren't.
Just smoked your cab out.
He was with his he's with his agent. I think it was his agent. He was
crazy that you could sit in a taxi and smoke. That's crazy now.
I can't remember the thought of people doing that, but I remember the smell of it.
I remember the little metal ashtrays in your taxi.
That's right.
I remember them.
Like an airplane.
And you pull them out, like you push them, and they come out that side.
Yeah, in the door.
In
the door.
You had them in the door. Yeah. There's one there after Harry Enfield there, Peter Cavendish, which I never knew who she was at the time.
Cavendish Square is all I know.
Cavendish Square. Well,
Cavendish Professionals.
The story behind Peter Cavendish was I picked her up in Charing Cross Road, and she said, "Can you take me to Ongar?" So I said, "Yeah, blimey, yeah, what a lovely job, you know, Ongar in Essex." But she was being manhandled by a guy, you know, and he's grabbing hold of her arm and all that. And I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "Yeah, don't worry. It's me husband. He wanted me to stay, and I want to go home." She said, "I want to go home." So anyway, that was that. I'm driving along Tottenham Court Road, heading north, and a cyclist sort of pulled out in front of me, and I tooted him up, and I was bloody cyclist. I've gone. She said, "Don't you like cyclists?" I said, I don't. I said, funny enough, I said, I do ride a bike myself. I said, I've recently been to France and for a charity, you know. So she said, well, my husband rides a bike. I said, well, how's he get on with the traffic? So she said to me, he doesn't really deal with the traffic. She said, he's a professional cyclist.
Oh.
And I didn't know who she was. And I said, what's his name? I might know him. She says, Mark Cavendish.
Yeah, really, yeah.
And I said, I know him. I said, I see him coming in Paris. Yeah. I see him coming number one.
how
and
funny.
that's his current wife,
and that
is
was
it?
his
Yeah,
current
together,
wife.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like him.
Yeah, I like him. I've got his book
He's got a bit of
indoors.
flair about him.
Yeah,
He's a bit
I
of a
like him. He's an
strong attitude about it.
him
in a positive way.
and Nigel Mansell, both from the Isle of Man,
Were they?
both
Yeah.
champions. Yeah. And who we got? Cy King there, the chef of the Airy Bikers.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, what I love-
Oh, the
what-
one that
One
hasn't
passed
passed
away.
away.
The
Yeah,
one that hasn't
yeah.
passed away. There's no D there.
No D.
Yeah, but Simon King, once again, nice £100 job all the way to Boreham Wood. Lovely chap. Very,
They
very.
come across very lovely.
Yeah,
both of them.
he's like a very left wing, and talking about politics. And I was trying to get off of it, but you could see where he's to the left.
Was it politics and religion you always say, didn't you?
Yeah,
Avoid?
don't when you're abroad.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Is Stan Boardman there? You got there,
Jasper Conran.
Ja-
I mean, I know
yeah,
that just through being
yeah.
a label in.
and there's
Debenhams.
another interesting
And
one.
Zaha Hadid, that's a big one.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Zaha Hadid. Now,
D.
deceased. She died recently. She was a massive architect
Yeah.
all around the world, and I found out later that she was personal friends with Saddam Hussein.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But I used to pick her up. In fact, I've picked her up twice. Yeah,
That is,
yeah.
Moving on to
Yeah.
politicians.
he's not been in your cabin, though.
No, Saddam Hussein hasn't.
Owes me 50 quid.
Politicians there at the top of the list.
Gordon Brown.
Oh my God, Gordon Brown.
Was this before he got an egg thrown at him?
Oh no, that was
That was
But that's Prescott.
John
Prescott.
Prescott. Yeah, Gordon Brown. What a horrible man.
Really.
Yeah. And I don't care if he washes us. I don't care if he watches. But-
I reckon he might watch this.
But
This LKB podcast.
but he got in a cab with two guys underneath there, Roy Hattersley and Roy Jenkins.
In a charity boxing match.
Not
Gordon
Roy.
Brown.
Gordon Brown, Roy Hattersley, and John Smith. Now, John Smith was the former leader of the Labour Party.
Yeah.
He passed away and Tony Blair took over. But them three were in the cab. I picked them up at the Gasworks, which is otherwise known as the House of Parliament. We call it the Gasworks in the trade.
Oh, do you?
It's full of hot air. Yeah. But he wants to go to he wants to go to an Indian restaurant, and I said, "Where is that?" He said, "Don't you know?" I said, "Mate," I said, "Veriswami's, Bombay Brasserie, Chutney Mary, I know. As for some poxy high street Indian, I don't. Whereabouts is it?" He said, Kennington High Road. So off we go, over round the Parliament Square, over Westminster Bridge, and just to put money on a bit, I could have gone over Lambeth Bridge, really. But anyway, I've took him down to Kennington Road because but in theory, it's the best of Westminster Bridge because you get the beginning of Kennington Road. Going down, I see the restaurant now. Gordon Brown, he's sitting on the jump seat, so he's got his back to me on the other side, on the near side. And the other two guys sitting on the back. Now I see
There never used to be seatbelts on those ones.
You didn't need seatbelts
No.
there, no. But the restaurant was approaching me, and I see it right on Kennington Cross. And I thought, I'm going to go past it.
I was going to say, I bet you were waiting for him to say stop.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, he shouted out, "Stop!" So I've hit the brake so hard that he smashed his head back on the glass partition.
Oh, no.
And he's moaning and groaning, he was, And I said, "Well, you told me to stop." I said, "I didn't see it. I still got my eyes on the road." So anyway, he's got out and walked away. And I think it was Roy Hattersley paid me off. And he said, "I do apologise for my friend Gordon." I said, "Don't worry, mate."
What, because he was rude?
Yeah, because he was rude.
Rude,
Just
no need.
Yeah. So,
concussed.
No
anyway,
matter who you are.
but continuing on from that, I met him again. And another during the night, I got called to a house in Westminster, a private party, and a woman come up to me, and I realised she was Claire Short, and they've all come out drunk, all the lot of them all come out drunk, and she said, "Good evening, cabby." I said, "Hello, dear." I said, "Could you take us to somewhere?" I said, I'll certainly take you. I said, but as for him down there, I said, he's not getting in my cab.
And it was
Gordon Brown. She said, "What, our Gordon?" I said, "Yeah, you're bloody Gordon. Horrible man, rude, everything." I said, "He can get in a cab behind."
Did you say it as polite as that?
Yeah, I did. I swear to you. I really did.
He still wanted her fair.
Yeah, but anyway, that was
split him
that.
up.
But that was him, yeah.
But you also, I always remember you because you've told me this about it before, because I've gone to a black taxi, I go, oh, we want to go to so-and-so restaurant. And he'll go, all right, love, but what road's that on? I go, I don't know. Hold on, let me look it up. Because you don't learn where everywhere is, do you? Like what locations are on the street. It's learning streets is one thing, but then learning where the bloody restaurants and God knows what else is on.
Restaurants, top restaurants.
Some will stand out, of course.
Yeah.
Or Stringfellas, that kind of place.
Yeah, been there a few times by sounds of it.
Yeah, Stringfellas, yeah. But
I've been in there myself,
what was the other one? Langens was a...
Langens, I've been there. Yeah, it's nice. It's still quite big now. Like, a lot of people still go there.
Yeah, but I mean... Yeah, it's just off of Piccadilly.
Quaglino's was where I saw that's the one Geri Halliwell.
That's where I was going to ask you. That's the one down the side street.
Yes, massive.
Don't ask me the name of the
road.
Just off the German street.
Online, they had the new Sheesh in London.
Oh, no, I didn't know there was one.
There's one opposite not Harrods.
Oh, I didn't know there was one in London.
What's it called?
Sheesh. No, Sheesh in Chigwell.
Sheesh kebab.
Yeah, he's got one there. Right there, Piccadilly, around the corner.
Alan Sugar used to own it.
Yeah.
I don't know him.
Yeah, that's another one.
I know Alan Sugar. I know Alan Sugar.
Not picked him up.
Yeah.
I mean, politicians don't interest me, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
So unless there's something,
there was
an amazing story.
There's a couple. Well, Sir Nicholas Soames there, who's I think Churchill's grandson.
Oh,
and Churchill today, I think today is the 60th anniversary of the death of Sir Winston Churchill today.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah. I think it is. It was
talking to politicians. Your friend works at the Houses of Parliament.
Oh yes,
Gasworks,
Christine, who you met.
Yeah, I did.
Christine Tomlinson. Hello, Chris.
I went into Parliament and this lady come down. Oh, your dad's messaged me today. I was supposed to say hello to you. I was like, how do you know it's me? She sent me a picture as well.
That's so funny.
It's quite funny.
Yeah, Lord Longford. He's another controversial politician. He was the one who was trying to get Myra Hindley, the child murderer, off. He was trying to get her out of prison. Yeah, and that he was.
You don't quite shake that, do you?
No. He was a funny guy. Yeah. And the two royals down the bottom, well, he's royal, so Lord David Lindley. I picked him up and his wife, Serena. I think it's Serena. Serena. One evening, and he was dressed up as like an admiral in the Royal Navy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he was obviously been to a fancy dress party, and I thought, how can I talk to him? I've got to be original, just like I was with Boy George,
Yeah.
I've got to ask him something to get him talking. So I said, too cold for the bike this evening, Mr. Lindley? So I think I may have addressed him as Sir. I think I did, Sir. He said, no, yeah, a bit cold for the bike, he said. Yeah. And then all of a sudden his wife jumps off the back seat, jumps on the jump seat with a red in me in the front, more or less, because I had those old fashion ones, And she said, have you got a bike? I said, no. I said, no, but I've ridden one, a Honda 90. What I've done the knowledge on.
Right, okay.
And that was that. Yeah, that's that story. That's
Bless.
Anyway.
And then journalists is the last ones. I mean, there's not a huge amount I know of those ones,
No, you probably don't.
Unless you've got
Fiona Bruce is quite popular, isn't
Gabby Roslin, I know Gabby Roslin.
Yeah, Fiona Bruce is, she used to work with, what's the black guy? What's his name? Trevor McDonald.
Oh, yeah.
I think she was his sidekick. Yeah, she professionally. Piers Salinger, you got there. Now, you won't know him. Some of the viewers may know who he is. But he was JFK's press secretary.
Interesting. Did you know that when we got in the cab? Did you know that's him?
No, I don't think I did. Piers Salinger. And of course, he was assassinated, John Kennedy, in 1963.
Yeah.
And I said, was you on the stage? He said, no. He said, but I was on the stage when Robert Kennedy was shot in Los Angeles. He said, at the time of JFK's assassination, he was mid-flight. He was traveling across America.
That was huge.
But he was the head. The reason I picked him up, he was a real interesting bloke, and he was a real, not arrogant. He wasn't arrogant. He had smoked a big cigar, and it was down to close to the butt, sort of thing. But he spoke with the cigar in his mouth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of, like an old cowboy. But he was really interesting, and at the time, JFK, the film, Oliver Stone's film, JFK, came out. And I said, have you seen the movie? He said, the biggest load of crap I've ever seen in my life, you know. And so that was him, yeah. But I picked him up. He was he was the head of, not ABC, no, what was it, in Carburton Street. He was an American production company. I can't remember, not ABC, NBC, one of them. I can't remember which one it was.
What we should do is when we post this podcast is just put the whole list on there. And then if anyone's got any questions about anyone, then you can answer it on the comments of what they were like.
I sent it to the boys and actually showed someone at work, the lads at work. I said that I gave them the list and they fascinating to go through it all.
Yeah,
really
it's
interesting.
fascinating.
I couldn't believe it. So that many people.
And different people will know different people on here.
Ice Cube. Talk to the Ice Cube. Because they didn't get in the cab.
Yeah.
But that was always Paul's
Ice Cube, the American rap star.
Yeah.
I met him.
Ice Cube, baby.
I met him in Hamilton Place by the Inn on the Park Hotel, which is now for 4 seasons now.
Yeah.
He was in a wagon. He was in like one of these side door cars.
Yeah.
And I see who it was, and I said, "Oh, nice to meet you. What's up? What's up?" He said, "What's up?" And I said, "Oh, I've just got to say hello from my son because he's a fan." You know,
Friday.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
But, another one on there I've got right at the very, very end is I've got 2 military people here that I picked up. A Major Richard Bethel. Now the story behind him, he at the time I picked him up in at the Carlton Tower Hotel in Sloane Street, and he only wanted to go down the King's Road, very, very short ride, and me being an history buff and military history, I noticed these blazer buttons, and these blazer buttons were Scots Guard buttons, and I said, you in the Scots Guards? He said, "My God, man, how would you know that?"
Yeah.
I said, "Well, I just noticed you blazer buttons." He said, "Do you know a bit about the military there?" I said, "Well, I was a territorial in the Green Jackets for 12 years. I think I may still have been in it at the time." I said, "Plus my brother-in-law, Joanne's ex-husband."
Yes.
I said he was a Coldstream, you know. So, oh, really? So anyway, so we get down there and he pays me off, and that was it. The following morning, I did ask him his name, and he wouldn't give me his surname. He said, "Just call me Richard." And so I said, "What's your surname?" He said, "No, just call me Richard." So anyway, that was that. Following day, when I wake,
you nosy bastard, is what he thinks.
Yeah, I wake up. I get my book out because I've got my book, and I think it's called "When the Fighting Is Over," and the actual what do you call it? The paragraph, called Tumbledown, and he was the major who he was either leaving the. I said, that was the other thing. Sorry, I've just read a book about one of your colleagues. He said, not, what was his name? Oh, gee, I'll come to me in a minute. What was his name? Oh, I can't remember his name now. And it murder. So anyway, and I said, "Did you know him?" He said, "Yes, I do know him. He totally effed up." He said, "He totally effed up." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He said he was supposed to be leading the main attack or the diversionary attack, and I was going up on the main attack. And I'm talking to a guy now who's leading the charge on Tumbledown Mountain in the Falklands War. So I can't wait to get home and look at the book. So I dug him out, and I said to I found his name. It's Major Richard Bethel. Okay. And then I phoned Terry up in the morning, my sister's husband, and I said, "Terry, did you know a Richard Bethel, Scots Guards?" He said, "Yeah, I do." He said he took a grenade up the leg on Tumbledown, like shrapnel. Wow. So he said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah." He went to Hereford in the end.
Yeah. Wow.
Now Hereford is 22 SAS, and of course that's why he never told me his surname. But yeah, he was
Bernie's Secret Service tracked him down.
But if you look him up recently, I mean, he's been in the news in the last few years. He's friends with Tony he's Tony Blair and what's the name? Sherry Blair. Blair. Now the other military guy I picked up, a leader as such, is Brigadier Sir Patrick Cordingley. Now he led 7th Armoured Brigade in the First Gulf War. Now I see him walking. I see him and his wife looking for a cab in the King's Road, and I had a fare, and I thought, oh Jesus, I want to pick him up. But I knew my fare was getting out.
Right,
so,
kick him out.
Yeah,
quick.
he's getting out. And as I'm being paid off, I see another cab coming along the way he wants to go.
With his light on.
With his light on. And of course, I've swung the cab round quickly and picked him up. And I said, where would you like to go, sir? And he's looked at me like, sir, like, why are you saying, sir? I said, it's okay, I know you are. You're Brigadier Sir Patrick Alderley. And then we started talking about my military history.
We started
talking about me.
Where I served in
it was great.
4RGJ.
It was a great fair.
But that's basically it on the sheep. But there's many more to talk about.
Well, there's loads in between what we've spoke about. But we haven't got all day. So,
I would have probably extended. I mean, my badge runs out. Officially, it should run out March the 6th this year. But being TfL or what they are, couldn't run a P up in a brewery. They've took MAR as MAY. So now I've got a 2-month extension on my license. So now my license is due for renewal in May of this year, but I won't be renewing it. No. Well, I'm going to Spain now, aren't I?
Selling yourself out in Spain.
I'm going to Spain, and I can't wait.
Vida loca.
But what he's done to London, the 20 mile an hour limit, and thankfully I've just before Christmas, my licence was wiped clean anyway. So I've got no points on my licence anymore.
Just as you've retired from driving anyway.
Yeah, just as I retired. Yeah. Hopefully I'll be able to rent a car out in Spain.
Mum's still on 12 though, probably.
So anyone thinking of doing the knowledge, what would you say to them?
Oh, please do not do it.
Oh,
Your brother here, he wanted to do it one time, and then he wanted to join the army, and then he wanted to be a ski instructor, and
did all of the above.
But no, I would. It's finished. It's finished. And what they're doing now, it's a shame. It really is a shame.
Even losing
cabs.
Yeah,
I'm actually. Yeah, I mean, look.
Should be protected, shouldn't it?
The life of a cab, the scrapping cabs that are perfectly okay.
Crazy.
And now they're actually introducing. I've got something on my phone. I won't show you now, but it's like a 40-page questionnaire I've got to fill in. And if you don't get it right, and it's a test, you've got to be tested on. I've done all my testing.
Yeah.
On the knowledge.
You've been doing it for 30
years.
You know what I mean?
Crazy,
that's all you've got to know. You haven't got to know anything else.
It costs you. You got to pay for it, have you?
Yeah. I presume you have. Yeah. Nothing's for free anymore, is it?
But, so once they have all gone, all these black cabs, does that mean we're then allowed to download the Uber app?
Uber free zone. This is Uber free zone.
Yeah, don't use the U word.
Yeah. But
is that going? What's the crack?
Sorry,
what's the crack with Uber?
Well,
I know, obviously
they've got so much power, Stephen.
Yeah, because how many court cases said they're now going to be seized?
Oh my God! Well, I mean, we've took them as black cab drivers. We've taken them to court because in 2012, which was our Olympic year, to 2018, Uber were acting illegally.
Yeah,
and so we're actually appealing for us to be paid. Now we've got a litigation company that's working on our behalf, representing about 12 to 13,000 cab drivers that have all signed on, including myself, and they reckon we'd be liable for possibly £25,000 back pay from Uber. Now that case is still going on. COVID put it way behind as well, but in Australia, the cab drivers have just won their case.
Oh, okay.
And against Uber, and they've been paid. Now, so
could be a Brucey bonus.
It could be nice.
It could be nice, couldn't it?
That would be very nice.
So
we all stand to inherit 25 grand.
I could have one or two more San Miguel's a weekend. But
well, fingers crossed that does come back, because that only seems fair as well. So, but Dad, thanks for coming on.
You're welcome.
I didn't even say at the beginning Bernie Kerslake. I just called you Dad.
Yeah,
he does have a name.
Yeah, Bernie Kerslake.
Bernie Kerslake.
Stepney, born and bred.
And now pissing off to Spain in the heat, which will be lovely. But Dad, thank you so much for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
And I'm sure you'll enjoy listening back to it.
Well, I wish you two the best. No, I ain't got to worry about you two anyway.
Yeah, we'll be all right. Just Paul, you got to worry about. No, I'm only joking.
No,
I'm only joking.
I know you are. I know. No, he's doing all right. He's doing okay.
Who have you worried most about over the years?
Oh, well, that is a simple answer. I'll bloody answer that as well.
Phone calls 2:00 in the morning, Dad.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, same.
Oh my God.
Just looking for opportunities.
Yeah. Come on. I remember
Nightmare.
that night. I hadn't had my car long. I had an Audi A4, and and then you were stuck in Leighton.
Moving on. Thanks, Callum.
Yeah. We won't
Anyway,
get to the phone calls that I've had endlessly.
I did. I said, Dad, can you come pick me up? Because I was just drunk as a
doing
skunk in London. And then you turned up.
I never did that.
You turned, 100%. I've come out and seen Paul cleaning the taxi before because he's been hanging out of it all the way home from London.
That's
yeah,
right.
I've never done that.
You've never done that.
Yeah.
I've never done that.
He had done that. He stuck his head out the cab.
Never have I been sick in your cab.
No,
we're not stickers. But you're saying that, she's saying about working nights. The noise of your keys in the morning would set the dog off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah.
Every Saturday
these
morning.
things
word bouncer.
These things I don't know about. It's what you...
And you come and go, can't wake up, you're missing the best part of the day.
Yeah.
Then it's Saturday at 6 a.m. And you'd always have to get up and get out. The old bouncer.
Oh.
Legend.
Family dog.
And now you're going into retirement, Father.
Yeah. Listen, I've a good few years left.
Well, I hope so.
So do I.
Some people struggle with
we know
retirement. I think you might do all right.
Yeah, we know what you need to keep doing, don't we?
Yeah, we do.
Moving.
We do. Moving
Yes.
and watching what I eat. And
Eating well.
Drinking.
Drinking well.
Watching what you're drinking.
And moving.
The holiday period is over in Spain now. I mean, when I went out there in 2016, I maybe thought I was on holiday for 3 years before I come home. Before COVID brought us back.
Exactly. Well, you've got some beautiful sunshine to be getting plenty of walks in.
Yeah.
Right, Dad, thank you so much. That is the end of the podcast. Thanks for joining again. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give us a comment, let us know what you think. And we'll put the list of everyone who's picked up on there and let us know if you know any of them. Cheers, guys.